Welcome to the White Towel, our hockey panel here where we discuss all things Canucks. A reminder, you can get our podcast as well. Subscribe to that through Apple Podcasts. You want to get all our great Canucks stuff delivered right to you every week. Gentlemen, if there's a nugget of news, as Ben alluded to this earlier, is housekeeping. The Canucks have re-signed their assistant coaches. Now, I think that's not so much telling because, hey, they've got these great assistant coaches. I think it's telling because that's another one of the whipping boys gone. People, right. You get into this Benning bros, bitter bros conversation, people, whether they like Jim Benning or not, the team's silenced a lot of that talk. But the next thing that people used to pick on this team were the specialty teams, penalty killing, power play, and that's largely the function of the assistant coaches. It's been a good news story for the Canucks so far this year, isn't it?
Yeah, the power play, and we all know the Hughes story. I mean, I got to see the Hughesless power play and be reminded of that on the road trip last week and how static that was, and getting him back in last night, we know what he's like. That's a huge part of the story. But in the end, Newell Brown is working with these guys, and they're trying to make it work. And Nolan Baumgartner's done a great job with the penalty killers. I mean, that is an outstanding penalty-killing unit, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, quick thing on the coaches there, right from Ian Clark down. I mean, what he's done with the goaltending with Newell Brown, the architect has done with the power play and the way Baumgartner's handled the back end. The interesting thing to me about the power play, as you mentioned on the road trip, Hughes is out and suddenly they gave up a shorthanded goal in back-to-back games. It's almost like Pac-Man trying to come out of their own zone. I had a chance to talk to him at length the other day, and it's really interesting that he always sort of plays one play ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. He's also thinking one play ahead of the game. He told us, don't read too much into 0 for 4 against the Blues on the power play. It's the fact that they're still getting to know each other, whether it's Pettersson on the half wall, what they're doing, just being inventive, having guys move around. He referenced one play where he had the puck behind the net. He thought Miller was going to go the same way he was going to go, and they threw the puck in the corner. And they basically had a feed that would have been a tap-in goal. And he said, don't worry about the power play. We're still learning it. We're still learning each other. And it's going to be very, very good. And to hear that from a rookie in the league, who, by the way, every time he's been hurt in his career, there's been nobody around him. We all think he's going to get plastered. He's going to get run to the end boards. The way he spins off, his inventiveness, he eludes all that. So to have that going for you, even at even strength, but on the power play, the way he triggers everything and his inventiveness, I've always been able to tell you year in year, 21st on the power play, 22nd on the power play. Well, here they are in the top 10, and if they're in the top 10 in both categories, people say, what's it going to take to make the playoffs? Yep. It's a specialty teams game. If you're in the top 10 in PK and the power play, you're going to be knocking on that door.
So special teams going well, young stars emerging, coaching staff, everyone's happy. Another storyline from this week, the whole T-shirt around a team like that. Huh. I'm not suggesting the Canucks are this year's Carolina Hurricanes, and I saw there was some interplay between the social media teams. But taking that quote from Drew Doughty that was supposedly disparaging the team and Bo Horvat addressing it after a game, and now this sort of marketing push, getting the fans engaged, is there a different kind of chemistry with this team than you guys have seen in years past?
Yeah, they used to get sand kicked in their face and just took it. And now, when Drew's being Drew, and by the way, I had a chance to talk to Tanner Pearson, his former teammate, about it in my post-game blog, and he says, that's typical Dewey. He's Dewey being Dewey, but you have to own it. When you say it, you have to own it. I went and listened to the clip again, and that's what he said. And like you said, Paul, for the marketing staff to understand, we have an opportunity here. Team like that. In the past, the Canucks would it's like a kid on the beach getting sand kicked in his face. He just takes it. They don't take it anymore.
They can do something
They stand up to it, and whether it's from the guys in the room or the marketing staff to understand they can run with something here, I think it's great. Yeah. It's great.
It's a perfect match.
I'm a large, by the way. Take a large T-shirt.
It's a perfect match. I mean, it is. It's a team. It's a team that's on the rise. They're making things happen. Things are going well, and they can back it up. And they don't have to take stuff off guys like who are old last year's news.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate from the media point of view now because you guys cover the team. Doughty complained about how that was taken out of context. Mm-hmm. I see you rolling your eyes. I have some sympathy for him for a couple of reasons. One, he said, we have no problem losing like 8-2 to a team like that. I think he was referring, personally, I'll let him speak for himself. It sounded to me like he was speaking more for the manner that they were drubbed by a team that obviously has not done well the last few years, rather than, we lost to the Canucks. But the bigger picture to me is, we complain all the time that hockey players are so bland that they never tell you guys anything. And now a guy says something frank And he was pissed off that they lost. He says it in the locker room, and all of a sudden he's a marketing slogan for the other team. And now he says, "That's it. I'm not talking. I'm not going to give you guys anything anymore." We've seen this before. I remember Joffrey Lupul having a pop at our dear departed friend Jason Botchford over some stuff he said. It's like we can criticize these guys for not showing personality, and when they do, it seems to become this controversy.
I'm not criticizing for having personality. I said, great, but I said, you know what? You say stuff happens. Like, people are going to go.
I agree with Paul. In my post-game blog, I referenced the fact I thought Doughty was being harder on his team than anybody else. I mean, this guy's cut from a different cloth. The best part of any road trip is when you happen to be in LA and you go to the Kings practice facility in El Segundo and you catch the end of a Kings practice and the room's almost empty and it's just you and Doughty and he's slumped in his stall and he's giving you that look like, I know you're going to ask me a question, I got a better answer for you. He's old school, but he's got to own it when he says it. You don't want him to clam up. I thought in the big picture, I thought he was being harder on his team than taking a shot at the Canucks. But again, it's great fodder. And the last thing we need is Drew Doughty to clam up.
And I don't think he's going to clam up.
No, he won't clam up.
Joe Thornton
it's in his DNA.
Up. He's not going to clam up. He may be mad in the moment, but I don't think he's going.
He's more mad at his team and himself than that team like that.
Well, it's great when those controversies involved the opposition and not the Canucks. So thanks, gents. Come back to the vancouversun.com, theprovince.com for your Canuck coverage all season long.